The wasteland was silent, but not peaceful. A broken sky stretched endlessly above, dark and colorless, as if the stars themselves had abandoned this place long ago. The ground was dry, cracked, and covered with black dust that moved slowly with the cold wind. Strange shapes could be seen in the distance, ruins of something old, something forgotten. No one came here, no one survived here. This was the place where the unwanted were sent, and today, someone new had been left behind. A small alien girl lay motionless on the ground. Her fragile body was barely covered with thin, torn fabric. Her pale blue skin looked dull under the dark sky, and faint, glowing lines ran across her arms like fading light. She was weak, too weak to even sit up. Her breathing was slow and painful. She had no strength left, not after what they did. Her people, her own kind, had brought her here. They didn't speak much when they left her. They didn't look back either. To them she was nothing more than a mistake, broken, useless, not worth saving. So they left her here, to disappear, to be forgotten. A soft sound escaped her lips, half breath, half cry. Tears slowly rolled down her face, mixing with the dust beneath her. She tried to move her hand, but her body refused to listen. She was alone, and something out there knew it. A deep growl echoed through the wasteland. The girl's eyes widened with fear. From the thick fog in the distance, shadows began to move, large shapes crawling and shifting, their glowing eyes appearing one by one. Creatures, hungry creatures, they had been waiting, watching. This place belonged to them. And now, she was their prey. The girl tried again to move, her fingers shaking as they pressed weakly into the ground, but her body was too damaged, too tired. Every breath felt like it could be her last. The growls came closer, slow, careful. They were surrounding her. She closed her eyes. This was the end. Then suddenly, everything stopped. The growls faded. The wind went silent. Even the creatures froze. The girl opened her eyes, slowly, confused. The shadows had stopped moving. The glowing eyes were no longer focused on her. They were looking somewhere else. Something else had entered the wasteland. A new sound broke the silence. Footsteps, heavy, steady, unafraid. Each step echoed across the empty land, calm and controlled. Whoever it was, they were not hiding. They were not running. They were walking straight into danger. The creatures slowly stepped back into the fog. Some of them lowered their heads. Others retreated completely, disappearing into the darkness as if something far worse had arrived. The girl's heart began to beat faster. What could scare these monsters? The footsteps came closer. Then she saw him, a human. He walked through the wasteland like he belonged there. Tall, steady, his face calm and unreadable. His clothes were worn but strong, covered in dust and signs of long travel. His eyes moved carefully across the land, watching everything. But there was no fear in him, not even a little. The girl felt a sudden wave of panic. She had heard stories about humans, dangerous, violent, unpredictable, worse than the creatures. Her body tried to move again, desperate to escape, but she could barely lift her hand. The human stopped a few steps away from her. He looked down at the small alien girl lying in the dirt. For a moment, he said nothing. The wind slowly returned, brushing across the wasteland again. The creatures stayed hidden, watching, waiting. The girl held her breath, fear filling her eyes. She expected pain. She expected him to finish what the others had started. But he didn't move. He didn't attack. He simply looked at her. Not like she was useless. Not like she was broken. But like she mattered. And for the first time since she had been left here, something changed inside her. A feeling she thought was gone forever. Hope. The silence between them grew deeper. Because this moment, the cold wind moved slowly across the wasteland, carrying dust and silence with it. The small alien girl lay still, her weak body shaking slightly as she stared at the human standing in front of her. She didn't understand him. Not his face, not his presence, not why he was here. Nothing about him made sense. He should have been dead already. Everything that came into this place died. But he was standing, alive, and worse, calm. The girl's breathing became uneven. Fear filled her chest again. She had seen creatures stronger than her destroyed within seconds, and yet this human walked through them like they were nothing. Her fingers moved slightly, trying to push her body back, but she couldn't go far. The ground scraped against her skin as she struggled. The human noticed. He didn't step closer. Instead, he slowly raised both of his hands. Empty, open, showing he was not holding any weapon. The movement was slow, careful, like he didn't want to scare her. The girl froze. Why was he doing that? He lowered himself gently, sitting on one knee, keeping distance between them. His eyes stayed on her, but they were not sharp or threatening. They were soft, focused. He spoke. His voice was low and calm, like the quiet before rain. The words meant nothing to her, but the tone was different. It didn't carry anger. It didn't carry control. It carried patience. The girl blinked slowly, confused. She had never heard a voice like that before, from anyone. The human reached behind his back slowly, making sure she could see every movement. He took off a heavy coat and placed it gently on the ground between them. Then he pushed it slightly toward her and stopped. He didn't force it on her. He didn't move closer. He simply left it there, an offering. The girl stared at the coat, then at him, then back at the coat again. Her mind didn't understand what this meant. Nothing in her life had prepared her for this. Slowly, painfully, she moved her hand forward. Her fingers touched the edge of the fabric. It was warm, warm. Her body reacted instantly, pulling the coat closer without thinking. The heat wrapped around her fragile form, easing the cold that had been eating away at her. A small, broken breath escaped her lips. The human watched quietly. He didn't smile, he didn't speak again, he just stayed. Time passed. The wasteland remained silent, but something was changing. The creatures had not left. They were watching from the fog again. Their glowing eyes returned, slowly, carefully, waiting. The human's head turned slightly. He had noticed them. The air shifted. The calm around him disappeared. In its place, something else grew. Something heavy, something dangerous. The girl felt it immediately. The human stood up slowly, his movements no longer soft. His body straightened, and his eyes locked onto the shadows ahead. The creatures stepped forward. One of them let out a low growl, testing him. Another moved closer, circling from the side. They were hungry, and they had decided. The human stepped in front of the girl, without hesitation, without fear. He placed himself between her and the darkness. The girl's eyes widened. Why? Why would he do that? He didn't know her, he didn't need her, and yet he didn't move away. The first creature lunged, fast, sharp, deadly, but it never reached him. The human moved in a blur, a single step, a single motion. The creature was thrown back into the dust, crashing hard against the ground. A deep sound echoed as it struggled to rise again. The others froze. The girl's breath stopped. She couldn't believe what she had just seen. The human didn't chase them. He didn't roar. He didn't show anger. He simply stood there, waiting, daring them to try again. One by one, the creatures stepped back. The growls faded. The glowing eyes disappeared into the fog. They had made a decision. This prey was not worth the risk. Silence returned once more, but it felt different now. The human slowly turned back toward the girl. The heavy tension around him faded again. He walked back to where she lay, stopping at the same distance as before. Careful, respectful. He lowered himself again, sitting near her, but not touching. The girl looked at him, her fear slowly breaking apart. In its place, something new began to grow. Trust. It was small, fragile, but it was there. And for the first time since she was abandoned, she was not alone anymore. Not in a place like this.
The Wasteland was no longer the same. For the first time in many cycles, something had changed. The small alien girl could feel it. She was sitting now, weak but awake, wrapped in the human's coat. Her body still hurt, but the cold no longer felt like it was killing her. She watched him from a distance, her glowing eyes following every movement he made. The human was not resting. He moved across the broken land with quiet focus, collecting pieces of metal, broken parts, anything that could still be used. His hands worked quickly, building something near a large cracked stone. A shelter. Simple, but strong. The girl didn't understand why he was doing this. No one stayed in this place. No one tried to survive here. But he wasn't acting like someone who wanted to leave. He was preparing to stay. A soft sound escaped her throat. She didn't mean to make it, but it came out anyway. The human stopped. He turned his head slightly and looked at her. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Then he gave a small nod. Not a command, not a warning, just recognition. The girl blinked slowly. Something inside her chest felt warm again. Time passed. The sky remained dark, but the silence had changed. It was no longer empty. It was waiting. The creatures had not forgotten. They were watching, learning, adapting. The girl felt it before it happened. A strange pressure in the air, a low vibration under the ground. Her body tensed instantly. Fear returned, stronger than before. She looked toward the fog. The human noticed her reaction. He didn't ask anything. He already understood. His body straightened, and his eyes turned sharp again. The calm was gone. The storm had returned. Then, the attack came. Not one creature, not two, dozens. They rushed out from the fog at once, faster than before, their bodies low and deadly. Their glowing eyes burned with hunger and something else. Anger. They had learned. They were not coming to test him anymore. They were coming to kill. The girl froze. Her body refused to move. Her mind screamed, but no sound came out. This time, it was too many. Even him. He couldn't stop all of them, right? The human stepped forward, just one step, and that was enough. The first creature leaped toward him. He didn't move away. He moved into it. His body turned, fast and controlled. His hand struck the creature with force, sending it crashing into another one. Dust exploded into the air as both bodies rolled across the ground. But the others didn't stop. They surrounded him, attacking from all sides. The human moved like he had done this 1,000 times. Every step was precise. Every motion had purpose. He didn't waste energy. He didn't panic. He controlled the fight. One creature lunged from behind. He turned just in time, grabbing it mid-air and throwing it hard into the ground. Another rushed from the side, but he dropped low, avoiding its attack, then struck upward, pushing it back. The girl watched everything, her eyes wide, her breath shaking. This was not just survival. This was something else, something stronger. He was not fighting to escape. He was fighting to protect. Her. The realization hit her like a wave. Why? Why would he risk his life for her? She was nothing. She had always been nothing. That's what they told her. That's why they left her. But this human, he didn't see her that way. The fight continued. The creatures were faster now, smarter. One of them broke through his defense line and rushed toward the girl. She saw it coming. Her body froze again. She couldn't move. Not fast enough, not strong enough. The creature opened its jaws, ready to strike. Then suddenly, it stopped, mid-air. A strong hand caught it. The human. He had moved faster than she could see. His grip tightened, and with one powerful motion, he threw the creature far away, its body hitting the ground with a heavy crash. He stood in front of her again, breathing steady, eyes cold, unshaken. The remaining creatures hesitated. Something had changed in them. Fear. Real fear. They stepped back slowly, one by one. Then they ran, disappearing into the fog once again. The wasteland fell silent. But this time, it was not their silence. It was his. The human turned back toward the girl. The tension in his body slowly faded. He walked toward her, stopping just a few steps away, closer than before, but still careful, still gentle. The girl looked up at him. Her fear was still there, but something stronger had taken its place. Trust. She slowly moved her hand forward, just a little, not fully reaching him, but not pulling away either. The human saw it, and for the first time, he moved closer, slowly, carefully, not as a fighter, but as someone who chose to stay, in a place where nothing stayed. And in that moment, the wasteland learned something new. It had seen fear before. It had seen death. But now, it had seen a human who refused to leave. And that...
The wasteland was quiet again. But it was not the same kind of silence. This silence felt heavy, like something was coming. The small alien girl sat near the broken shelter, her body still weak but stronger than before. The human had helped her survive. He had given her warmth, food, and something she never had before. Safety. She watched him from a distance. He was fixing something again, shaping metal pieces into tools. His movements were calm, steady, like nothing could shake him. But she felt it. Something deep inside her chest, a strange fear, not from the creatures this time, from something worse, from something familiar. Far above the wasteland, hidden beyond the dark sky, a silent ship hovered. Cold, watching, scanning. A sharp signal echoed inside it. Target located! The girl's kind had found her. They had not come to save her. They had come to finish what they started. The air suddenly changed. A deep humming sound broke through the silence, low but powerful. The ground vibrated slightly and the wind twisted unnaturally. The human stopped working. He looked up. His eyes narrowed. The girl felt her heart drop. She knew that sound. Her body began to shake. No! Her voice came out weak, almost broken. The sky above them split with light. A beam cut through the darkness, landing not far from them. Dust exploded into the air as the ground burned under the energy. Then they appeared. Tall figures stepped out from the light. Cold armor, sharp movements, eyes without emotion, her people. The girl froze completely. Her breathing stopped. Memories rushed back. Voices, rejection, silence, abandonment. They had left her here. They had decided she was nothing. And now, they had come back. One of them stepped forward, scanning her body with glowing eyes. Subject still alive, a cold voice echoed. No longer necessary. The words hit her harder than any attack. Not necessary. Even now, she meant nothing to them. The girl's body trembled, her eyes filling with tears again. Fear wrapped around her chest, stronger than before. This was worse than the creatures. At least the creatures were honest. These were her own kind. The human stepped forward, slowly, silently. He placed himself between the girl and the figures, the same way he had done before, without hesitation, without question. The alien soldiers stopped, their eyes turned toward him. "Unknown species detected," one of them said. "Move aside, this does not concern you." The human didn't answer. He didn't move. The wind blew harder, pushing dust between them. The girl looked up at him, her vision shaking. Why was he doing this again? Why was he standing there? For her? One of the soldiers raised a weapon. Energy began to build at its tip, glowing brighter with each second. Final warning. Still. The human didn't move. The girl's heart pounded loudly. She knew what would happen. She had seen it before. No one disobeyed them. No one survived. She tried to speak, tried to tell him to stop. But her voice wouldn't come out. Her body was frozen. The weapon fired. A bright blast of energy shot forward, cutting through the air. The human moved, fast, faster than before. He stepped into the attack, turning his body just enough. The energy blast grazed past him, burning the ground behind. Dust exploded again. He didn't fall. He didn't step back. He kept moving forward. The soldiers reacted instantly. More weapons were raised, more energy charged. The wasteland lit up with deadly light. The human stood alone, one man against an entire unit. The girl's vision blurred. Tears ran down her face. This wasn't fair. He didn't belong in this fight. He didn't even know her. And yet, he was risking everything for her. Something broke inside her, a deep, painful truth. She had been wrong all her life. She believed what they told her, that she was weak, that she was nothing, and that she deserved to be left behind. But this human, he didn't see her like that. To him, she was worth protecting. The soldiers fired again. Multiple blasts rushed toward him at once. The human moved like a shadow, dodging, stepping, turning. The ground cracked under the force of the attacks. He closed the distance, fast, too fast. Before they could react, he was already there. The first soldier was thrown back, crashing into the others. Another tried to strike him, but he blocked it, pushing them away with raw force. The battle began, real, close, dangerous. The girl watched in shock. This was not like the creatures. These enemies were stronger, smarter, deadlier, but the human... He didn't stop. He didn't slow down, because this time he wasn't just protecting her from the wasteland. He was protecting her from the ones who abandoned her. The silence of the wasteland shattered completely. And something new was born in its place, a war. And at the center of it stood a human. The wasteland was burning. Light from alien weapons cut through the dark sky again and again. The ground shook with every blast. Dust and smoke filled the air, turning everything into chaos. But in the middle of it all, he was still standing. The human moved through the battlefield like a storm that refused to stop. His body was already wounded. Small burns marked his arms. Blood slowly ran down his side. But he didn't slow down, he didn't step back, because behind him, she was still there. The small alien girl sat near the broken shelter, her weak body shaking as she watched everything unfold. Her glowing eyes were wide, filled with fear. And something else, something stronger. She believed in him. The alien soldiers regrouped quickly. Their movements were sharp, controlled. They had studied him now. They knew he was dangerous. So they changed their plan. 2 of them rushed forward to distract him. The rest turned toward her. The girl's heart stopped. She saw them coming, fast, focused. This time, they were not making the same mistake. They would end it. Now. No. Her voice came out weak, almost lost in the noise. The human saw it. In one moment, everything changed. His focus broke from the soldiers in front of him. His eyes snapped toward the girl. And without thinking, he ran. The soldiers in front tried to stop him, but he pushed through them with force, taking hits he didn't block. Energy blasts struck near him, one hitting his shoulder, sending him off balance. But he didn't fall. He kept moving. The girl watched him, her vision shaking. Why? Why would he do this? Why would he risk everything? For her. The soldiers were almost there, weapons raised, energy building. The human reached her just in time. He stepped in front of her again, one last time. The blasts fired, bright, blinding. The human didn't move away. He took the impact. A powerful shockwave hit the ground, sending dust and debris flying everywhere. The force pushed everything back. For a moment, there was nothing but silence. The girl couldn't see. Her ears rang. Her heart pounded so loud it drowned everything else. Slowly, the dust began to settle. Shapes appeared again. The ground, the broken shelter, the soldiers standing at a distance, and him, the human, still standing, but barely. His body shook slightly. His breathing was heavy. Burn marks covered his chest where the blast had hit him, but he was still there, still between them, still protecting her. The soldiers hesitated. For the first time, they were unsure. This was not normal. This was not logical. No being should be able to take that kind of damage and still stand. But he did. The human slowly lifted his head. His eyes locked onto them. There was no fear. Only one clear message. You will not touch her. The silence stretched. Then one of the soldiers stepped back. Then another. Their formation broke. Something inside them had changed. Fear. Real fear. They turned, and they left. Their ship pulled back into the sky, disappearing into the darkness from where they came. They had made their decision. This fight was not worth it, not against him. The wasteland became quiet again, but this time it felt different. The human's body finally gave in. He dropped to one knee, then to the ground. The girl gasped. Her body moved before her mind could think. Slowly, painfully, she crawled toward him. Each movement hurt, but she didn't stop. Not this time, not anymore. She reached him. Her small hands touched his arm, warm, alive. Tears filled her eyes again, but these tears were different. She wasn't alone anymore, and she wasn't nothing, because someone had chosen her. The human opened his eyes slowly. He looked at her, and for the first time, a small, tired smile appeared on his face. Not because he won, not because he survived, but because she was safe. The girl held on to him tightly, her fragile body shaking. And in that moment, something changed forever. The wasteland was no longer just a place of death. It had become a place where something impossible was born. A bond, a connection stronger than fear, stronger than pain, a human, and the girl who was once left to disappear. Far beyond the wasteland, across the silent galaxy, a truth had been written. Not in words, but in actions. Humans don't just fight for survival, they fight for those who have no one else. And when they choose to protect someone, they don't stop, no matter the cost. The small alien girl looked at the human again, not with fear, not with doubt, but with something she had never felt before, belonging. And as the cold wind moved across the land once more, the silence of the wasteland was finally broken, not by fear,